Ahoy and welcome back to another video. I'm Frogheim, but you can call me Perm. Today I want to talk about something a little different from my previous videos, the Elden Ring movie. The reason I want to dive into this topic is because there is something in particular regarding the Elden Ring setting and putting it on the big screen that has really bothered me, and that is how are they gonna approach the lands between. It might sound silly, but I think it's a very serious problem because the game does not have a linear, obvious approach to its storyline. Instead, much like any other FromSoft game, it tells its story through item descriptions, boss dialogue, and other forms of lore. Most of these things are subtle and easily missable by the average player, so it begs the question, are they going to adapt the storyline of the Tarnished in the game? I say try because it's not going to be easy, especially if you intend to cover every single shard bearer in the game, because they can't. In my opinion, it is utter folly to even attempt that. It's not bold, it's just ridiculous. Now you might be asking, how else do we adapt the Elden Ring movie? Well, I'll tell you. Remember all that lore? Well, you can adapt it, but I don't think you should do it through the Tarnished storyline. Instead, let's focus on some of the more iconic characters that appear in the game. Specifically, I think we should focus on the Empyreans and the demigods. Marika, Ranni, Radahn, Rykard, Malenia, Mikola, Mohg, etc. It just feels like a way better idea to put the storylines of these characters into the movie and pick a main character out of them. As for who that is, well, I think that is heavily dictated on what story they decide to tell, because there are so many, like loads. You could tell the story of how Ranni stole death, Fia and Godwyn. You could tell the story of Radagon, or one of my favorites that I would love to see and I think would make a great movie story, Malenia and Radahn, because they have a whole situation in lore. Well, Mikola, Malenia, and Radahn to be more precise. Now, I'm not the biggest lore buff, to be honest. I mostly know general stuff, so I won't go into every intricate little detail, but seeing the creation of Caelid, Radahn's descent to madness following this epic battle between Malenia and Radahn would be such a spectacle to witness firsthand. Another one that I'd like to see adapted is of course the Ranni storyline, her stealing death, becoming the doll that we know her as in the game, and everything in between. I just think having a story centered around these characters would be a much more interesting movie than seeing some guy swing a sword around, rolling around all the time. Sure, it would be kind of funny seeing the Tarnished die over and over. It would be in the spirit of the game for sure. I just don't know if people who are tuning into this movie that are not already big fans of FromSoft will really find that to their liking. It doesn't seem to be the ideal approach if you want to capture the hearts of as many viewers as possible. You want to excite the fans while also finding ways to immerse newcomers into this magical and foul world filled with wonders and horror. I think the big issue with some of these games becoming movies, there's just not enough time to portray what's necessary because I don't see it being over 3 hours long. Maybe if it was a sequel to something that had an explosive success at the box office, but the first movie? I don't know, man. But let's just for a second humor the idea of the Tarnished storyline, which is honestly very plausible to happen even if it isn't ideal. What would we get in the span of say a 2-hour film? The protagonist wakes up, follow the main path through Stormvale, and from there we probably go into Liurnia, straight into Leyndell, right? It doesn't feel sensible to include Caelid in my opinion, even though it is one of the coolest places in the game, especially with the spike in difficulty compared to Limgrave and Liurnia. I just don't see how they include all of that without making a confusing mess out of it. But hey, I'm no expert, merely a humble fan of the game who wishes to see Elden Ring given the right treatment on the big screen, because while we've seen some strong adaptations recently, way too many video games that have become adapted end up flopping, and it's really sad to see. And I think I speak for most Elden Ring fans, if not all of them, when I say that we need this movie to be good. Going back to the core of the game though, FromSoft games are known for being super hard, you die a lot, you try again, etc. Should that be in the movie? I don't know, because I look at the Dungeons and Dragons movie that we got a while back, and even though they obviously didn't implement all the dice throws and all the technicalities that go into Dungeons and Dragons, the movie was still pretty decent. So leaving out some of the technicalities from Elden Ring is absolutely something that at least should be considered. But don't get me wrong, I am excited for this movie regardless of how they approach it. Obviously a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about in this video comes from my heart, not to brag, but I'm kind of an idiot. So if I'm completely off about how this movie turns out and how they approach the source material, then don't be surprised. There is just a lot of stuff from the lore of Elden Ring that I'd rather see instead of seeing the Tarnished storyline. Even if we exclude the fact that adapting the Tarnished storyline storyline is a momentous task if they want to make it work. Ultimately, what I think is the most important thing about this movie isn't what storylines gets picked. They might even blend things together and make it a somewhat original take on the game, which could work better than all the above for all we know. No, I think as long as the atmosphere stays true to the game, the essence, if you will, the soul of the game, this movie will be great. We just gotta have faith. Anyway, what do you guys think? How will they adapt this movie? Leave a comment down below and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, whether it's anime, manga, or video game related. I've been Frogheim, and I'll see you next time.